Welcome back to the show, everyone. Today I've got somebody really special to me. Not only is he one of my own success coaches, through the Impact Fitness Coaching Academy, but he is also out here changing lives every single day himself. Ethan Lin, also known as the Kettlebell Coach, is a fitness coach who specializes in helping parents over 30 reset their metabolism, drop 15 plus pounds, get stronger, and double their energy, all without fad diets or BS programs. He has helped over 600 clients with results under his belt. Ethan has built a proven system that allows busy moms and dads to prioritize themselves, reclaim their health, and actually have the energy left for their families. So if you've ever felt like you don't have time for fitness or that your best years are behind you, this episode is going to prove otherwise. Ethan, welcome to the show.
Hey man, thank you. That was quite the intro. I sound awesome when you talk about me.
Well, of course. I gotta,
Yeah,
I gotta gas you up, you
there you
help
go.
me out. But so let's start with your story a little bit. How did you get into fitness coaching specifically, and what made you passionate about serving parents over 30 specifically?
Totally. Man, I can give you, do you want the long version or the short version? Because I can give you the 2 minute
Yeah,
spiel
whichever
or I
one
can give
comes
you
out. Yeah, that's all you.
let's cool. Well, so I got in, I was athletic growing up, played sports pretty recreationally. This was my like competitive sport. Played that through high school, a little bit in college. But like strength training or being in the gym was never a huge focus. And then when I got to my older years outside of college, classic girlfriend cheats on you and you decide you're going to have a revenge body and like, beef up to 250 pounds of lean muscle and like show her. So that
I'm
was
still
like
trying
my
to do
like,
that.
right. Yeah. So that was like my, villain arc to get into the gym and really start lifting weights and like taking, bodybuilding seriously. And
Mhm.
I went from about 160 and change. I bulked up to over 230, got really beefy. But then with that, I started having a bunch of other health problems because I wasn't taking care of all the other things that you need to take care of. So, like
Yep.
walking up a flight of stairs, I had trouble breathing. I developed sleep apnea. I was relatively lean. I was sub 15%. But I was doing that on a diet of like Big Macs and I mean, just really not a healthier approach to fitness. I looked pretty good, but inside I was wrecked.
Right.
And so 2016, I was like just realizing, hey, it hurts to like lift my arm over my head. My joints are always hurting. I have asthma. This is terrible. And so that actually got me into kettlebell training. I have a colleague who was like, hey, man, you should check out these kettlebells. It's a great way to build strength, but you have better mobility, you have better cardiovascular health. It's kind of an all in one system. You don't need to go to the gym all the time. And so I just went headfirst into kettlebell training, realized that that was something that made it so effective and efficient, and it fixed a ton of my problems. Now, was I quite as big as I was before? Nope. But I also was never going to get on a stage. And so I realized the trade off of like looking really big, but being super unhealthy in a bunch of other ways. That trade off wasn't worth it to me. So I went into kettlebell training and now I have a more balanced approach to training as a whole. I still use barbells, other free weights, machines, but predominantly kettlebell training is where I still reside. And that actually got me into how I'm helping parents now as a parent myself. I just really realized most parents are time starved. They don't have the ability to get to a gym very often. So they need to work out from home. They don't have a ton of space to build out the entire gym that they want.
Right.
And so what's the tool that they could use to get the most bang for their buck? Kettlebell seems to be the answer. Get some kettlebells, get some resistance bands, a pull-up bar for the door, and you can get a solid workout in 30 minutes and get back to living your life as a parent. So I didn't really start focusing on parents until I became a parent and realized, oh, when they say they have no time, they really mean they don't have any time. So
Yeah, I mean that makes sense though, because like as coaches, right? Like we are our brand. So it would make sense that when you become a parent, that your brand kind of shifts a little bit because you are able to speak towards those struggles from a, different perspective now. Because, that is something that I do run into sometimes with my clients when they're like,
Sure.
oh, like I have kids, like I don't have time. I'm like, look, I understand. And I understand that I don't have kids. So you're going to tell me that I don't get it. But it's like, everybody has kids. Like that's how
Yeah,
the
yeah.
species exists.
Totally. Yeah, yeah.
um, but I think something you said as far as like when you just wanted to get big, I did the exact same thing when I was in the Marine Corps,
Sure. Yeah.
and I got up to 260 pounds. So I was 6'3", 260,
Yeah.
and I was still running a first class PFT, barely. And then because the 3 mile killed me. I was a big boy
Yeah,
running 3 miles.
that's rough.
But the CFT, the combat fitness test, which
Hmm.
is more dragging people and carrying people and doing
Yeah.
all those things and like the quick bursts of stuff and like shoulder presses, perfect score.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like you said, my diet was whatever I felt like. You know what I mean? I
Yep.
was just eating what I felt like eating.
Calories.
Right.
Yeah.
And so even if I was tracking it, like I was kind of doing more of like an if it fits your macros situation where it's like, okay, but the macros from McDonald's
Yeah.
can look the
Different
same on your app
paper.
as
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
macros from Whole Foods, but it is going to treat your body differently.
Yeah.
And
100%.
that was something I was running into when I got that big was, having trouble sleeping and like you lay down and your chest feels heavy. You're like,
Yeah. I
you're like,
I
why is my
remember
own body so heavy?
I remember uh yeah, developing like sleep apnea and laying on my back and like feeling heavy and like coughing and like feeling like
Yeah.
I was choking and having like trouble breathing. It was like, this is my own body. I should not be like struggling against myself. That's crazy. So
And the stairs were definitely my worst enemy for
yeah,
sure.
I
Uh,
I yeah, I remember it was like the third or fourth time that I intentionally chose the elevator in the gym that I was working at the time so I could avoid the stairs, and I went, this isn't good. This is
yeah,
not a
when it's one floor, when it's right
it's just
there.
one floor. Yeah, it's just one floor. Yeah, it was
uh,
yeah, not a
yeah.
good look. So,
But so back to the parent struggle from what you've seen with, all of your clients, hundreds of clients you've worked with, what are the biggest struggles that parents face? And is there a different struggle, I guess, from that 30 plus range versus the parents who might be a little younger?
yeah, I think, yeah, so the first thing, I almost think there's less of there's less difference than people think of people who have parents or people who have kids and people who don't, people who are parents and people who are not. Um, in that you were mentioning earlier, like, we all have time constraints, and I think that's true. So one of the things that I really have to work on with parents is, yes, your time is strained, but there's lots of other people who have very legitimate reasons why their time is also constrained, and they're finding a way to make this work. So we just have to figure out how to make this work. Your time constraint is unique in that you have kids, but it's not unique in that your time is constrained. You have a lack of time. That's a universal problem if you're over 20. So we have to figure out we have to figure out a way around that. And so that's again where like the kettlebell training and like training from home and you don't have to travel, you don't have to go to a gym, you don't have to shower at the gym, you don't have to. There's all these things that like are specific to working around having a family, but the issue itself is the same, and it's kind of true with everything else. And I'm sure we'll talk about this, the simplicity of how you get, to improve your health is, let's improve your diet. And for you, it's like, don't eat your kids' chicken nuggets. You need to like stick to eating what you need to eat. So like the problem is the same. How we approach it might feel unique to parents, but
Hmm.
everyone's got the same problems. You need to eat better. You need to prioritize your sleep and your steps. It's very simple approach. What was your second question? I want to make sure I answer them both.
So the biggest struggles parents face at that age
Oh, the
specifically.
30. Yeah, 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 for sure.
Yeah.
So the biggest thing I notice with parents over 30 is they have bought into this lie that at 30 your metabolism slows down and you're stuck. And I think 20-year-old parents um, are still young enough that they haven't had 10 years in the corporate world. They haven't had their third kid yet. Um, and
Usually.
they're still, yeah, right, hopefully. and and they're still young enough that like they can quote unquote get away with that eating the McDonald's or like having the drinks or doing the things, and they're not seeing the effects of it yet because they haven't had enough years of like that behavior that really stacks up. Where 30-year-olds, one, they believe the lie that like your metabolism has been wrecked. And two, they just have 10 plus years of those negative behaviors and they've all stacked up. And now they're having to overcome this like mountain of bad habits where we need to address those things. Where if I have a 23-year-old parent, their first kid, they're 23, I can typically get them results faster because we're working against less years of bad behavior.
Right. And that's one of the things too that, you know, I see all the time is like we can make huge, huge, huge improvements in 3 to 6 months for sure. But it's like you do have to realize how many years of bad habits we are trying to erase.
Yeah.
Like if you have even just 6 years, if you have 6 years of poor habits, poor time management, poor nutrition, poor exercise, poor whatever, poor sleep, like all of that, you're not going to fix everything in 6 months.
No.
Like that's
Yeah.
just not going to happen.
No.
And so I think some people, because I've had friends and stuff like reach out to me and be like, "Oh, like how are you doing?" Like all this stuff, and it's like, dude, I'm still figuring it out as I go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there's still stuff that like you almost have to coach yourself. You sit there and realize like, okay, I would tell my clients to do this and like da 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 da. Like you need to practice what you preach, right? But I like that you said that because I actually touched on, you know, my following question, which was, what do most parents get wrong about metabolism, weight loss, and energy as they get older?
Yeah.
And I think you said it perfectly. They buy in to the same lie when they're younger that their metabolism is just cranked up and that, and to an extent, like, yes, but it's not metabolism, right? Most people don't know what a metabolism actually is.
Yeah.
But they buy into the lie young because it's positive, because it's I can do whatever I want and it's going to be fine. And then that shifts to now that I'm this age, I can't do that anymore. And it's like, no, the only reason that that is true is because you've been following this lie the whole time. Like if you just treated your body well the whole time, you'd be good. You'd be able to do what you want still, you know, you'd be able to have ice cream. You'd be able to have pizza occasionally. You'd be able to go out to eat, have a couple drinks without worrying about it. Um, and especially now, I mean, the time of year is coming. So the next
Yeah.
couple months, the next 3 or 4 months is going to be, we'll see. We'll see
Yeah.
what
I mean,
people do. But
it's something that I I think that's the perfect explanation that and this is true for like a lot of different things related to health, right? We bind the lie when it seems like a positive, and then when it becomes a negative, we assume that we can't change anything, and so we just go, "Oh, well, if that's the case, I'll just keep doing the thing because there's nothing I can do to fix it." And so the other big thing with over 30s is I find there's a lot more mindset work that needs to
mhm.
get done. Um, because they're having to overcome these like limiting beliefs of I can do this or I can do this. Where again, if I have a early 20s parent that I'm working with, maybe it's just ignorance is bliss and they haven't lived enough life to realize life is really hard. I don't know, but like they're just like, oh,
Sometimes
cool,
that
you
is
just told
part of it, I think.
I think, but they're like, oh, cool, cool. You tell me it's possible. Awesome, I believe you. And they like just go do the thing and get the result, and it's a self fulfilling prophecy, and they love it. If you're over 30, if you're over 40, my parents over 40 who are like dealing with 20 years of bad habits, it's,
That's tough.
it's
That's
mental
tough.
as much as it is physical for the first bit. Yeah.
Yeah, I have one client, I won't go into names or anything obviously, but she is a physician. She's in her mid 50s. Um, and it's a little jarring
Yeah.
sometimes as far as like you're a physician. Like
Right. You should know.
you're a doctor. Like um but she's great, but like you said, the big things for her are really, as far as nutrition, is like family time, because like you said, there's the 20 years she has teenagers, you know what I mean? So there's that dynamic around food in the household has been established for, 2 decades or nearly 2 decades. And then so she's in the process of trying to change her own habits without
Mhm.
uprooting everyone else.
Sure.
Which I mean, well, I'll get your opinion on that in a minute as far as
Yeah.
like how you handle that. But yeah, the mindset has been the biggest thing as
Yeah.
far as like not letting one little thing be the reason not to do it anymore, or recognizing small wins, I think, is essential for everybody. But that's mindset's been huge for
Yeah.
her as well.
It's one of the big distinguishers between the younger populations that I work with and older populations. I mean, over the span of my career, the oldest person I ever worked with was 97. And he was so old, he was positive about everything because every day that he was alive, he was like, I can't believe I'm still doing this. So that was cool. And then, like, I've worked with youth athletes, so 16 to like 18-year-old range. Also, the sky's the limit. They believe anything is possible. But I notice every subsequent decade, that belief dwindles really fast. And so it becomes more a mental battle as much of a physical, like, we need to change your diet, we need to change your daily activity. Like those things, if we can't get the mental reframe done, it's an uphill battle that's really hard to overcome.
It is, and I mean that's still something. I mean that's a huge part of the way I approach my coaching, is the psychology angle, um, which is why I'm getting my degree, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Uh, I'm actually looking at picking up another class again. Uh, so I'm already full time. I'm getting
Sure.
was it
What's one more
six
class?
credits? Yeah, 6 credits every 8 weeks because I'm on an accelerated course. So now I'm
Ooh.
gonna try to do 9 credits every 8 weeks.
Yeah.
I want my degree, damn it.
I was like, you'll
Um,
get done sooner. But
but
I think Stephen, though, like, it's gonna set you apart over
mhm.
so many other coaches. And that was one of the things, I don't know, I was like probably 4 or 5 years into my career, and I got a behavior change in exercise science. So it was really around like the mentality around how to help people overcome the mental side of fitness. And that was probably the best like certification continuing education that I ever did within like health and fitness specifically,
Right.
because there's so much mental behind all of this. And if you get into people who have disordered eating, if they have just, I mean, like, there's a laundry list of things that it is so much of the mental that affects the physical. And so you having that background and being able to like help people navigate through that, it's going to be a game changer for who you help and how you help them. I wish it was mandatory for coaches as part of their curriculum to go through some form of a psychological. You need to understand how people's brains
They should
work.
probably have a psychological evaluation
You should
themselves.
probably also you should probably also make sure that you have the aptitude to do this. But I think it should be like standard curriculum because it's such a huge part of you being able to help coach people through their health.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
absolutely. And I
kudos to you.
think it's like, I think it's funny because it really started just for me, you know what I mean? And then I was like, oh, well, this works perfectly.
Yeah.
Uh, but I mean, it's part of my brand too. I know that's part of yours, is being very direct. We don't do the fad diets. We don't do the gimmicks. So what do you believe is broken in the fitness industry, and how do you think differently?
Yeah. I mean, so one of the things I realized when I transitioned out of in-person coaching in a physical, like brick and mortar location to online coaching is the online space is if you want to succeed, you have to get really good at marketing, and most times being good at marketing means selling a lie,
Yeah.
and there's so many examples I can think of. V-Shred comes to mind very quickly. I mean, things are just like
Everyone hates
everyone
V-Shred.
has V-Shred, right? Okay, cool. We're
How
all
is
in
that
agreement.
still a
Awesome.
thing?
Fantastic.
I don't know how that. I think he's a creator of some sort. I know, but his whole
Scotty.
yes, it is Scotty,
Yeah.
and he's like fuck V-Shred at the end
Yeah.
of all of his things. I
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
But there's so many of those types of fitness companies, and I mean, I remember even when I was a teenager looking at those old muscle magazines, and it's if you drink this protein powder, you're gonna look like Arnold, and it's like, no, that's not what's gonna make it happen.
And the
Um,
protein powder's probably shit.
it's probably shit. I remember going into like nutrition and getting my nutrition certification and background and being learning about proprietary blends and being like, oh, we're just putting sawdust and shit. Like, cool.
Yeah,
Um,
proprietary blends is literally just a fancy way for them to hide what ingredients are in the product behind a fancy what's it called? Patent label.
yeah, yep.
Because they patented the ingredients. Those specific
These,
measured ingredients are theirs.
yeah,
Like
I guess I should have explained, but yeah, proprietary blends is a marketing gimmick essentially where they patent a certain level of we measured these ingredients to this degree, but it's mostly fillers and crap that's like not doing anything for you. But that's so much of the fitness industry as a whole. I mean, shake
mhm.
weights exist.
Yeah.
Like, do I need to say more? But those became popular. People like legitimately use them. Every P90X, every um Jenny Craig. I mean, so many of these things have helped people. But
My
for the
parents
vast
are Herbalife people.
there see, great. Herbalife, another really good example. And it's not to say
Beautiful
like,
multi-level marketing.
yeah, it's all the version of get rich quick or get healthy quick scheme where for most, the vast majority, it's not going to be the thing that ultimately gets you to your goal. And more often, you're going to do more damage in the process. And so we have to undo those things to get you to where you ultimately want to be. And so I found just having a no bullshit approach of like, I know I can make this sound really cool and I can like try to like wave my magic wand and make it sound very unique, but it really is pretty simple principles until we get to a point where we have to get super nuanced because some people we need to get there. But like,
Mhm.
if you're not sleeping 8 hours a night, I don't care about your peptide stack because you're not sleeping. Doesn't matter
Exactly.
that you're taking X, Y, and Z thing, or you're doing this protocol, or your red light therapy, or it doesn't matter because you're only getting 60 grams of protein a day. So we have to like cart before the horse kind of thing. We have to make sure that you're doing the things that actually get the foundation. So if you need those additional protocols, those additional deep dives, they actually do the thing that you're looking for. I don't care about your blood work until you can tell me that like you're drinking enough water and you're getting enough micronutrients that your hormone levels are going to be as balanced as possible before we take the test.
Yeah, if you drink more soda than water, if you eat
Yeah.
out more than you eat at home, if like
Yeah.
uh, let's fix that first.
Let's fix that first.
Because if you get your blood work done when that is your lifestyle, like you really don't know what your baseline is because you're constantly attacking your system.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. That's for so like from my because I work with parents predominantly. Sleep is always a big one. And for my dads who I work with, they'll go get their blood work done and their test levels are notoriously low. And that can be there's root issues, but like, hey man, you're only sleeping 4 hours a night. And a big part of that is because you're staying up late playing Call of Duty, and then you wake up because your kids wake you up, and then like there's all these things that are going on. But if you're sleeping 4 hours a night, it's going to affect your testosterone levels. If you can sleep 6 hours a night, 7 hours a night, we can get you to 8 hours a night, and then you test, I promise that level's gonna be higher because you will have fixed other things along the way as well. And then we can say, hey, that's your actual base. Now, if we need to talk about therapies and things, it makes sense. But you can't say my number's 240. Well, yeah, it's 240 because you eat like shit and you're like sleeping 4 hours a night. You're doing this to yourself. We have to address that first. So I can deep dive into all of this with any client, but it doesn't make sense to do blood work if you're eating McDonald's 5 nights a week.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
that was it's hard. It
Yeah.
really is sometimes, you know?
Yep.
But you know, you've coached over 600 clients, like I've said. Can you share, is there one story that really sticks out amongst the others? You know, a client who completely transformed their life, like you really just were blown
Yeah.
away?
Um, man. I mean, there's a couple. The one that popped in my mind immediately was and I'll use her name because she's not gonna care. Her name is Luann. Um, when she came to me, she was over 300 pounds. She did not want to lose weight. She was very anti, I'm only working out to lose weight. Because she was under this opinion that like all of her doctors are against her and they're saying the only like oh you have all these health problems because you need to lose weight. And so she was like, I don't want to focus on that. I just want to focus on getting consistent with doing healthy activities. And if weight loss is a byproduct, so be it. Again, a lot of mental stuff we have to work on
Yeah,
there.
I don't hate that approach though. I
But that was the thing is like when we started working, I was like, if that's the mentality to get you going, fantastic. We're not going to set a weight loss goal. We're just going to say, hey, let's get consistent with the things that are going to make you healthier, and we'll see what your body does. So we started together as a byproduct of her doing, improving her diet, getting her steps in, going to the gym 3 times. I mean, doing all of the things, right? Uh,
Mhm.
she lost 80 pounds. Fantastic.
Crazy.
She went off on her own. She's like, I got it. I feel great. This is awesome. Perfect. We worked together for probably, it was close to a year to get that 80 pounds. Um, She came back to me 3 years later, "Hey, I've gained 120 pounds." Okay, cool. Let's figure out how we do this, and now her goal was weight loss. I wanna get under 200 pounds, and she was plus 400. Awesome. So, again, for her, one of the things that she had decided coming back to me that she was going to do gastric bypass surgery when she had lost enough weight to help with this journey. I'm totally on board with that, but we're not gonna do that until you've proven to
Yeah,
yourself that you can
personal choices.
reestablish. Yep, you can reestablish the habits that will help you so when you have the surgery and post-surgery, you can keep the weight loss because I don't know if you know the statistics or your audience does, but, like, most people who have weight loss surgery, whether it's bypass, whether it's whatever it is, most of them will gain the weight back, um,
If not more.
if
Yeah,
not
especially
more.
with GLP-1s recently, I know have increased that statistic actually for how many people gain back more weight.
Regain. Yep,
So,
exactly, and we can get into GLP-1s in later in the call, but
I hate them. Anyway,
I know
continue.
they're yeah. So anyway, so we got her first 100 pounds lost. This was a journey that took over a year. We were close to 2 years before we got that initial 100 pounds. She had the surgery, um, and we kept working together. She has since and we're no longer working together, but her and I stay in contact. She has since lost 196 pounds. She has lost half her body weight, which if anyone knows what 200 pounds feels like, if you ever picked up 200 pounds, having 200 pounds less of you to move in the world is
Yeah.
crazy. That is, I'm over 200 pounds, but like that, I mean,
Well, that's
that's essentially,
anyone who's ever been on a long hike with like a heavy pack or anything like that. So all
yeah,
of my military folks out here, when you go on a ruck, you know how it feels to take that pack off.
yeah,
Because even like it makes like an actual difference because if you so the way I'm gonna describe it, just because I am military,
yeah, do it.
is
Yeah,
the rope when you have to climb the rope, always so much easier if you did like the hike first and dropped a pack
Yeah.
versus just doing like a run or a hike first and then doing it. And so like that relief of having that much weight off of your body, like that much stress off of your
Yep.
joints.
Yep. Yeah. I encourage anyone listening, go pick up two 20-pound dumbbells, so 40 pounds, and walk for as long as you can. And then whenever you just totally gas out, set it down or put it in a backpack if your grip strength's not awesome, whatever. But like carry around 30 to 40 pounds for as long as you can, take it off. And now imagine sextupling that weight. Like
Yeah.
it's incredible. And then what was cool was along the way, what we would do is every time she would hit, 25 to 50 pounds of weight loss, I would have her deadlift the weight so she could feel how much weight she had lost.
I like
And
that a lot, actually.
it was such a like every time without fail, you could watch the light bulb moment of like, oh my gosh, this is how much weight I've lost, and this is how much weight I was carrying around with me. It was
Yeah.
incredible. And now she rock climbs, she gets to do pole dancing classes. She has all of these things that have opened up to her that she gets to experience now because she's at a weight that allows her to do it. And it wasn't for her, it was never about, I have to get to this number as much as it was like, I want to be able to do all of the things that I want to do in life.
She wanted to live her life.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that people don't understand. Like when we start talking about that whole fat shaming, body positivity moment, like, or movement, I should say, people care about you. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like that's
Yeah.
if
Yep.
you are morbidly obese, especially, but if you are obese, if you are gaining weight, like it is not a thing to be shamed, but you should be able to look at yourself and kind of go, something's going on. I like people should want to be able to go outside and go for a walk without being winded, or go rock climbing if that's what they want to do, go for a hike. It's
Yeah.
hard because it's also like you get to a point, like as men, right, for us, and especially for you as a father, I know that's a big one that I've had I've had guests, I've had clients come to me with the same thing, as like when you are out of shape as a man, you are not a threat. And
Yeah.
if you're not a threat, you can't protect your family.
Yep.
And because that was the thing. There was an interview with a convicted pedophile individual who targeted children, and he said that the first thing he looks at, he doesn't care about the mother.
Yeah.
The first thing he looks at is the father in the house.
Yep. I remember that podcast. The number of dads who come to me
That's
and say,
terrifying.
yeah. And they go, hey, I need to get in shape because I saw this clip
Yeah.
on Instagram or Facebook, and it's that podcast. And I wish I could remember the guy's podcast because I'd shout it out.
Yeah, I would too. If we'll find it and
We'll
tag him
find
in
it,
here
put it in
for
the show
sure.
notes.
Yeah.
But the number of dads who come to me like, hey, I need to lose weight, not because I want to have a six pack, but because I want to be able to like show up for my family and if need be, defend my family. Yeah, like that's such a better why. Like
Yeah.
abs are
I mean,
cool.
what if there's a fire?
Yeah.
Like
There's
you need to be able to move through that house fast enough. You need to be able to make sure that your body can actually use the oxygen that it's getting, because there might not be as much.
there might not be much.
And then but you need to be able to get your kids and get out of there. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like if
Yeah.
you
There's
can't
so
do
many
that, or if you
examples.
become a hindrance for somebody, because if you can't get yourself out,
Right.
somebody else now has to come in and get you.
Yeah. There's so many. There's that podcast is a big one. There's a photo that's floating around. It's in a flood, and there's a big burly guy who's carrying what I'm assuming is the wife and kid, and the husband is like trudging along, and he's in the background, but you can tell he's super overweight. He's not gonna be able to save his family. The number of people that reference, I mean, there's a bunch of photos like that, but like that's the number. Typically, I would say the number one thing that dads come to me to get in shape for is it has nothing to do with having a six pack anymore. And again, this is kind of one of the differences between like men in their 20s and men in their 30s and over. Men in their 20s really want big biceps to impress the population. They want a
Yeah.
peacock, which is fine. We've all done it. I get it.
I
That's
still want big
fantastic.
biceps.
Yeah, who doesn't want big biceps? I got it. But most parents I'm working with, especially the dads over 30, they come to me with either that podcast or a photo or a thing where they go, I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be the liability. Like, oh, that's such a better reason to do this, to get in
Yeah, like
shape and like,
you don't have to be the hero,
no,
but you can not be a
not be a
liability.
liability. Yeah. Yep.
Oh, man, that's I honestly I love it because I do think those are the people that are the most committed. I've had people come to me, Jesus. I've had people come to me, um, who weren't even the father. They were a son in the household, and they wanted to. It was more of a close knit family, multiple generations, that kind of thing.
Hmm.
Um, and he said like most of the family doesn't eat very healthy. Like there's a lot of poor habits, and he wants to be the example for everybody else. And I was like,
Yes.
this one right here.
Yeah, he's gonna be
Um,
fine.
but you know, a lot of parents listening probably feel overwhelmed just thinking about adding one more thing to their plate. How do you make health and fitness realistic for busy families? I know we've touched on the kettlebells as being an option.
Sure.
Let's lean a little bit more towards scheduling.
Yeah. I I think the first thing is planning, right? The number of parents who come into me in my program, and I ask them like, okay, send me your most recent grocery shopping list. Like, I don't make a grocery shopping list. Okay,
Okay.
cool.
So it's
Send me your
Doritos,
yeah.
soda,
Like
whatever looks good on the shelf.
yeah, it's we kind of have an idea of what we need when we go to the grocery store, but I'm kind of just winging it in my head, and you end up with a bunch of things in the cart that you probably didn't need, or whatever, right? So
Which I
lack of,
still do. I still do.
I mean,
But
yeah. Like, don't get me wrong, but this is the other thing is teaching parents that if we can establish good habits, it allows you the flexibility to get Oreos every once in a while, or to have the pizza
right.
night, or to do the thing because you've done all this other work over here. But yeah, like the number of people who come to me and like, send me your recent grocery list. I don't have one. Send me your calendar. Like, just send me a snapshot of your weekly calendar and let me see like how you're planning out your time. And they're like, I've never used a calendar in my life. Awesome.
I mean,
Okay.
that was me too. That you
And
would I will say you would be proud of my calendar
I
right
would.
now because I had to I actually just recently restructured it entirely.
Nice. There you go.
But yeah, I have everything broken down into anywhere between 30 minutes and about an hour and a half for work blocks. And so I do everything about 2 or 3 times a day instead of like one long work block
Totally.
for something.
Yep.
Um, which is really good for me because I have ADHD and it's really hard for me to like sit still and focus
Yeah.
on one thing.
Yep.
So it's much easier to be like, oh, I only have 45 minutes to work on this. Bang out whatever I can and then on to the next thing.
Exactly. But like,
And then
but so to that point exactly, so much of this is you don't know how you operate and what's going to work best for you until we start making a plan and you execute on the plan, and then we can revise the plan as needed as we go along. But so many parents that come into my program and I'm working with are starting from nothing, right? I know I need to be at work at 9 o'clock. I get off of work at 5 o'clock, and anything before 9 o'clock is kind of up in the air. If my kids have soccer practice or something, that's on the calendar. But my time is kind of just, I just get through the day. Um, and it's really easy to get to the end of the day and be crawling into bed at 11 plus o'clock at night and go, oh my gosh, I never have time to do anything because we haven't made any type of plan. So the first step is just making the plan, and then the second thing is revising that over time and making sure, like to your point, I have people who work really, really well and they can do something for 3 hours at a time, and I have people who, if that was their life, they're not gonna get past 45 minutes before they get distracted, and, like, the thing they were gonna do is totally out the window, and so we have to take a personalized approach, but everyone needs a plan. What that looks like is gonna look different, but You need to
Well, and
structure your
that's, I
life.
mean, how long did we work together? Was it 6 months
Yeah,
ish? 4
yeah,
months? 6 months? Somewhere around
6
there?
months. Yeah.
And you tried every week to get me to fucking do my schedule.
Yeah.
And so I do get it. I do get it. It is tough, but it's one of those things where it's like your habits aren't going to change just because you want them to. You have to actually do it. And I understand that feeling of overwhelm and running into that freeze response and just kind of not being able to, but like just break it down into micro steps. I made a post about this, but it's really open the document. You don't have to start it, but open
Yep.
it. Turn on your computer. Whatever those steps are, like just start those small steps and it'll just kind of start rolling along. But everyone is definitely individualized, especially as it comes to stress management, which I think is a big part of scheduling. But I also think that most people are just not willing to wake up at a certain time. You know what I mean? They just don't want to wake up an hour earlier. They don't want to give up, watching TV for an hour at the end of the day. And it's like, okay, well, we can work with that to a point,
Hmm.
but there is going to come a point where that will be the limiting factor. And especially if it's something that's reducing your sleep, that's really the most important factor.
Right. Yeah. If you want
But
to regulate stress, um, sleep. You got to sleep.
so
And
I know you emphasize mindset and sustainability. Why do you think so many parents feel guilty prioritizing and emphasizing themselves? And how do you help them move past that?
yeah, that's a great question. I think it's once you become a parent, and people who don't have kids probably understand this because you have other people you care about and other things that you want to make sure that you're showing up for. Uh, we see it, parents see it as I only have so much to give, and I want to make sure that I'm allocating enough to my kids, my spouse, that they are a priority. And so I can't, how could I prioritize myself if I'm taking time away from them or efforts or my attention away from them to myself? And so the biggest mindset shift I have to typically make with parents is if you can, you know, anyone who's flown on an airplane, put your own mask on first. If you can do that, you will show up better for your family. And if you can just trust me and do this for the next 4 weeks and then see how you interact with your kids, you can see how you interact with your spouse, if you can see how you interact with the rest of the world, it will become this self motivating, self perpetuating system where you go, oh my gosh, I notice the days that I get to bed on time and I wake up early and I get my workout in, that there's a different level of pep in my step. I'm able to show up and I'm able to play with my kids. And I'm able to do these things and I'm able to maximize now what I'm giving back to my family rather than feeling like you wish you could be doing more. Like playing
Right.
with your kids, love it. Don't lose time with your kids. But if you playing with your kids is sitting on the couch watching them play because you're so tired that you
Right.
can't
Then you're
engage
not.
with them, that's a very different level of parenting than if you go, "Hey, let's go to the backyard and kick the soccer ball and do the thing," or "Let's go on a family walk," and you're just going to notice the difference in your life if you can put your mask on first. And
Uh-huh.
so, typically what I have to do is get them to, like, just trust me for a couple weeks, and then they start to notice the shift, and then it becomes, again, the self-perpetuating thing where they go, "I know when I do this, I can show up differently." We have to it's most parents coming into the program, that's one of the things they talk about, right? I want to have more energy for my kids. I want to be able to be in better shape so I can look good for my spouse when we go out on date night. I want to be able to like, cool. What you've been doing isn't working, right? We're stuck where you are now. Give this other thing a shot. Try it and see what happens. Uh,
And I think that's where when you are a coach, leading by example is huge.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I can sit here and tell parents all day long how to do X, Y, and Z, but there is always going to be that part that's like, well, you're not a parent. You know what I
Sure.
mean?
Sure.
And it's the same with my female clients when I tell them how birth control is poison and it's not a real cycle
Yes.
and all this stuff. And they're like, you're a guy, shut up.
Yeah.
Um, so not always, but sometimes.
But sometimes, yeah.
Um,
Yep.
but no, I think all that's great. And I actually have incorporated with one of my clients. She's a single mother. Um, and so she works out from home and her workout time is now a workout slash playtime with her kid. So it's like the kid's working out with her, they're laughing, they're having fun, like, because it's especially for a little kid, it's funny seeing like your mom
Yeah.
like get down on the ground and like, especially if that's not like normal, you know what I mean, in the household. Um, but like even doing meal plans and having like a family meal, like we're turning it into teachable moments.
Hmm.
So it's doing like find like mom needs protein, right? Mom needs protein so she can get stronger muscles. So find the protein. So then we're now teaching the kid like what is the protein? Oh, that's the chicken, the beef, the eggs, the yogurt, the whatever is what's making mom stronger.
Yep.
You know, so like we're building these foundations and it's in a fun way. You know, it doesn't have to take away from your family at all. This can very easily add to, you know, your quality time with your
Yep.
family.
That hitting the nail on the head. One of the big things with parents and helping them reestablish habits is if you were to involve your kids in these things, you got to get 7,000 steps a day. Cool. That's family walks.
Yeah,
Your
walk the
kid is
dog.
walk the dog, get out with your kids. It's funny to me now, but the number of parents who go, "Oh my gosh, my kids love our family walks now and they look forward to it and they want us to do it and they like they like helping me cook meals. They like going on the grocery store and finding the things and they like me working out because I got them, 3-pound weights and now they do their workouts. Kids are sponges and they are going to adapt to the environment that you put them in. If they get Pop Tarts for breakfast and they watch 6 hours of TV and they're up late playing video games and that's what's perpetuated, that's what's going to be the norm. If you go, hey, we're going to do this thing, they will adapt and they adapt faster than adults typically. And it's a really cool thing to watch the number of people who, when I'm doing their check-in calls, they go, oh my gosh, my kid was able to name like 10 vegetables. I'm like, yeah, isn't that cool? Like
Yeah, like
you're
it's
helping this generational change. Um, and that's another big why for a lot of people coming into my program. It's like, I want you to get healthy for you, obviously, but what if you could teach your kids and then your grandkids get to live a better life and then you're healthy enough to enjoy time with your grandkids? Like, how cool is that? Um,
well, we also think about it all the time, right? Where like we look back and go, oh man, if I had this information 6 months ago, a year ago, if I could start over in high school, if all these things, okay, so take all that information that you now have that you wish you had
yeah.
and give it to your child.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. Right.
It's free information. It's right there.
Yep.
Um, and then because I feel like that's like the whole point, isn't it? Is to like pass on
Pass it on. Yep.
lessons and things.
Yep.
But so for the parents who feel stuck right now, what are your top 3 practical tips that they could start doing today to reset their energy and health?
Yeah. Um, I
And
think the
this will be
first
our last one, and then we'll hit the outro. So,
Sure, totally. Top 3 things. I mean, I think the first one is just again, we talked about this briefly, but like starting to make a plan, right? Use your calendar, make a list, have a plan in place. Even if it's not perfect, you simply starting to think about making better choices will help you make better choices. The second is understand the law of momentum. if you do one good thing, it's gonna make you wanna do another good thing because you already did something good, right? I prioritized my sleep last night, so now I woke up and I feel more rested. Well, I wanna use this momentum, and so I'm gonna cook a healthy breakfast. I'm gonna make sure that I'm getting enough protein at breakfast because that's gonna help me fuel my day. Well, I already did that, so now make sure that I take the stairs instead of using the escalator. And because I did that, I'm gonna and so much of fitness outside of that, 30 minutes when you're working out is just stacking good habits. And if
Yeah,
you can
small
start with
wins.
the simplest thing, it will snowball and that law of momentum is huge. Um, the third and last thing is this if you could understand that every small change that you make will add up over time, it will be easier to get started.
It's that point
You
one
assume
percent.
yeah, you assume that you have to eat every meal perfectly healthy for it to be of any benefit. And I promise if all you did was started to make sure that you're getting protein in at breakfast, you'll notice a difference.
Yeah,
Even if
with
it's
with a lot of
1%.
people, I start with one structured meal a day. If they have trouble like getting going with that, all right, we're gonna have one meal a day that you enjoy that gets all your macros, micronutrients. We're good. It's a perfectly healthy structured meal. Just one.
Just
That's it.
one. Yep.
But
So
I
that
think go
I
ahead.
was gonna say, just that 1% better, right? If we can just like every little thing that you do to improve your health, it makes a difference. If you only lost half a pound a week because of the small changes that you made, you're still losing 30 pounds in a year. That is not
Yeah.
insignificant. And to that, so like I'll wrap it up all into one thing. People overestimate what they are going to be able to accomplish in a month, and they vastly underestimate what they can do in a year. And so if you can just zoom out and say, hey, I'm just going to do this for a year and not 30 days, you would be shocked. You would be shocked. December of 2026, what your life looks like if you just gave yourself that long to keep working at it rather than saying I have to get this done in the 30-day boot camp.
Yep.
That's
And
my
it's
ultimate solution.
I, I'm gonna add on just a little bit before we wrap
Do
up.
it.
Is just keep yourself grounded and have some perspective while you're going through this. All right. Because everybody's journey is a little bit different, looks a little bit different. We all should hold ourselves to high standards, but we all need to be nice to ourselves while we do it. Because I was talking to my bodybuilding coach the other day. We were talking about business, and I was like, the month of September, I made as much money as I made in the previous 5 months combined.
Mhm.
And I was like, still not crazy numbers, but I hadn't even acknowledged that. I was so focused on the
The
next
next
thing
Yeah.
that I didn't even take time to go, that's a
That's
moment.
incredible.
That's a situation that should be acknowledged. And then even he said he was like, dude, you did in 6 months what took me 4 years. And I was like, yeah, it's a little bit of perspective, I guess. You know what I mean? And it kind of completely changed, the way I was looking at the situation. Um, but I was also actively trying to look at it differently, which also important. But yeah, just be nice to yourself, keep some
Yeah.
perspective. But Ethan, thank you so much for being on today and sharing your story and insights. What I love most about your work is that you are showing parents that it's not too late, that they don't have to settle for low energy and extra weight just because they're 30. And if you're listening and you want to connect with Ethan, you can find him on Instagram at Ethan_kettlebell coach, or head over to his website, ironpridefitnesscoaching.com. So you can get started. I'll drop all the links in the show notes so you can follow his content, learn more about his systems, and maybe even become one of those 600 plus clients yourself. Thanks again for tuning in. And as always, take what you learned today and apply it. That is how you start building the change that you have been waiting for.
Thanks, Steven.
Absolutely. There we go.